Two things in business you hear about all the time. Two things that can attract money to your business, particularly effective when it comes to luxury businesses. Now, one of these things you'll hear about often because it will make your business magnetic, and that's attention. Attention attracts attention. When you think of a way of drawing attention to your business, whether it's in your marketing, whether it's in your communication, whether it's in your product, whether it's making something more amplified, you're going to get money flowing to your business. But there's another thing that I really love, particularly when it comes to luxury businesses, and I always coach my clients about the necessity of making sure this is present, and that's fantasy. You see, fantasy has more staying power. Fantasy means that the person imagines the experience that you offer. They imagine having ownership. They imagine sometimes being you. They imagine living in your world. And the great filmmakers understood this and understand it. They transport you to a new land. They transport you to a new place. When you go to Disneyland or when you go to a great theme park, you are engaged in fantasy. You're engaged in this feeling of what is it like to be part of the Old West? What is it like to be part of this experience that I imagine from these books? What is it about to feel like I am on the frontier? Fantasy has staying power. And I'm going to tell you something. While attention is very important, fantasy not only has staying power, but fantasy is one of those things that few companies know how to do well. And you have to be able to do that in luxury. What happens is many sales and marketing professionals confuse the two. And so if you go into a luxury retailer today, you'll see people who get attention. They have different color hair. They have combinations of clothing that you wonder, wow, what is this all about? They're verbose, they're loud, they're in your face. Well, that's nice, but does that sell luxury? Or does that just draw attention? Does that just create a spectacle? Now, all of those things are valuable when it comes to commerce, but fantasy is a little different. Fantasy has you thinking about that sport coat that you saw, that bag that you want to purchase, that item. It has you looking at the characters that have been created in advertising. It has you imagining one day driving that automobile. It has you in a completely different state of mind. You want to be in someone else's shoes. It's not just about making noise. It isn't just about getting someone to say, look over here. It's about being a completely different person. Now, the difference between attention and fantasy is so different that if you're not thinking about which one you're creating, you can invest in the wrong area. You see, I can create attention right now by creating a fire here. We can create a fire here on this floor, and that would get your attention. But would that keep you coming back? Would that keep you interested? Yes, of course, people will wonder, okay, what's going to happen next? That's great. I love that. But the question is that something that I want? Is that something that I want to be? Is that an experience that I want to participate in? Now, I'm going to tell you, in all businesses, and in fact, in all relationships, you should never remove the fantasy. You should always wonder, am I creating fantasy in this relationship? Now, I'm not just talking about clients. I'm talking about, you might want to think about this at home as well. You might want to think about this with your kids, with your spouse, with your relatives, with everyone. Because fantasy makes people want to come back. Fantasy makes people imagine the ideal situation, the thing that they've always dreamed of, the thing that they don't want to part from. And fantasy is something that can attract and keep clients paying you like nothing else. You see, fantasy, you want to figure out How do I make this person, in my words that I communicate with them, in the pictures that I show them, in the settings that I create, in the picture that I create in terms of telling them what we can do together, in the ways that I describe my work with other clients, in the ways I suggest how you can use this product and service. You see, all of those things transport a client to a different place. And if you're not doing that effectively, if you're not surprising them with fantasy, surprising them with interesting packaging, interesting notes in the mail, interesting offers, interesting music, interesting models and photographs and new designs, you're going to lose that client. And you're not only going to lose that client, the person who creates attention elsewhere will get them, and if they understand fantasy, they will get them and they will keep them. So don't forget these two things. They're compelling, they're effective, and they're profitable. You need attention. You need to get attention to your products and services. But you also need to create fantasy. And fantasy means allowing the client to escape in the vision, in the idea, in the sights, the sounds, the aromas, the experience of your luxury. That'll make all the difference in terms of your marketing long term. If you like this tip, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. Share it with someone in your network. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have a lot more here, and I'll see you next time.